I stood on the sidewalk outside my own house, staring through the window at the warm lights inside. My wife was in there, so was her family. But I could not go in. This was supposed to be my home, the place where I felt safe, where love lived. Instead, it had become my personal hell, all because of one false accusation. One night, one moment when everything I had built came crashing down and nobody wanted to hear the truth. Before I tell you how a single lie destroyed everything I built, let me ask you something. Where are you watching this from? If you have ever felt betrayed by the people you trusted most, hit that like button and subscribe, because what happened next will show you why silence is never the answer when your life is on the line. My name is Maurice. I am 33 years old, and up until 6 months ago, I thought I had it all figured out. I worked as a software engineer at a mid-sized tech company in Portland. Nothing fancy but stable, good benefits, decent pay, the kind of job that let me sleep at night without worrying about the mortgage. I had been married to Diane for 5 years. We met through mutual friends at a barbecue, one of those warm summer evenings where everything feels possible. She laughed at my terrible jokes. I loved the way she tucked her hair behind her ear when she was thinking. "Frank, please, this is a misunderstanding. If you just let me explain what." Doug's voice was low and dangerous. "Explain how you have been sneaking around with some other woman while my sister waits at home." "I have not been sneaking around. I have been working. Call my boss, call anyone at the company. They will tell you Kevin moved closer." "You think we are idiots. You think we are just going to believe whatever lies you come up with." My heart was pounding. What made everything even better was how well I got along with her family. Diane's father, Frank, was a retired police officer, tall, broad-shouldered, with a handshake that could crush rocks. He had spent 30 years on the force before retiring with a full pension. He treated me like the son he never had. We watched football together. He taught me how to change my brake pads. He told me stories about his days on the beat, about the criminals he caught and the ones that got away. Diane's mother, Patricia, was a retired nurse. Kind, nurturing, always trying to feed me whenever I visited. She made the best apple pie I had ever tasted. She would pack leftovers for us to take home, always worrying that we were not eating enough. Then there were Diane's 2 older brothers, Doug and Kevin. Both of them worked in construction. Doug was the foreman at a commercial building company. Kevin ran his own crew doing residential renovations. They were good guys. We went to baseball games together. They helped me install new flooring in our living room. We grabbed beers after work sometimes. I felt lucky. Not everyone gets along with their in-laws. But Frank, Patricia, Doug, and Kevin felt like family. Real family. The kind you could count on. That is what made what happened later so much worse. Everything started to change about 3 months before the incident. My company landed a major contract with an international client based in Singapore. It was a huge deal for us. The project was worth millions, and if we pulled it off, everyone involved would see promotions and bonuses. My boss selected me to lead the development team. I was honored. I was also terrified. This was the biggest responsibility I had ever been given. The project demanded everything from me. I started working late sometimes until 9 or 10 at night. Weekends became workdays. I brought my laptop home and coded after dinner. The pressure was intense. Every deadline felt like life or death. One mistake could cost the company the contract. My team consisted of 7 people. Among them was a woman named Jenna. She had just transferred from our Austin office to help with the project. She was a UX designer, sharp and talented. She understood user interfaces better than anyone I had ever worked with. Her designs were clean, intuitive, and exactly what the client wanted. Because I was the project lead and Jenna was the lead designer, we had to meet frequently, sometimes daily. We discussed wireframes, user flows, design iterations. We grabbed lunch with the team when deadlines were tight and nobody had time to leave the office. We sent messages back and forth on the company chat system, coordinating deliverables and making sure everyone stayed on schedule. It was all professional, all work. There was never anything inappropriate, not even close. Jenna was engaged to a guy who worked in finance. She showed me pictures of her wedding venue. I told her about Diane and our plans to maybe start a family, but I was spending a lot of time away from home. I knew that. I texted Diane every night when I was working late, letting her know I would be home soon, apologizing for missing dinner again. She always said it was fine. She understood. This project was important, or so I thought. Looking back, I should have noticed the signs earlier. Diane started to change. She became quieter. When I came home, she would be on the couch scrolling through her phone, barely looking up when I walked in. I tried to talk to her to ask about her day, but her answers were short, distant. One night I woke up around 2 in the morning and found her sitting in bed next to me holding my phone. My heart jumped. I asked her what she was doing. She put the phone down quickly, said she could not sleep and was just checking the time. But the way she looked at me there was something cold in her eyes, something I had never seen before. I asked if everything was okay. She said yes, but I knew it was not. A few days later, she started asking questions about Jenna. Who was she? Why did I mention her so often? Was she pretty? How old was she? I tried to explain that Jenna was just a colleague, that we worked together on the project, that it was nothing more than that. But Diane did not seem convinced. She would nod, say she understood, but then bring it up again the next day and the next. The tension in our house grew thick. I felt like I was walking on eggshells. I tried to spend more time with Diane on weekends, but the project still demanded attention. I had to answer emails, I had to review code, I had to make sure we stayed on track. I thought things would get better once the project was done. I thought Diane just needed me to be more present. I thought we would be fine. I was wrong. It was a Friday night in late October. I remember because the leaves were turning and there was a chill in the air that made me wish I had grabbed a heavier jacket that morning. I had been at the office since 7 that morning, working on a critical bug that threatened to delay our next milestone. The client was expecting a demo on Monday. We could not afford to miss it. I texted Diane around 6 that evening, telling her I would be late again. She did not respond. I texted her again at 8, then at 10. Nothing. I figured she was already asleep. By the time I finally fixed the issue and shut down my computer, it was nearly midnight. I was exhausted. My eyes burned from staring at the screen. My back ached from sitting in the same chair for 17 hours. All I wanted was to go home, collapse into bed, and sleep for 12 hours straight. I pulled into the driveway just after midnight. The lights were still on inside the house. That was strange. Diane usually went to bed by 10. I wondered if she had waited up for me. I opened the front door and stepped inside. The warmth of the house felt good after the cold night air. But something was wrong. I could feel it. The air was too still, too quiet. I walked into the living room and froze. Diane was sitting on the couch. Her face was red and blotchy, like she had been crying for hours. Her hands clutched her phone so tightly her knuckles were white. But she was not alone. Standing behind the couch was Frank, her father. His arms were crossed, his jaw was set. Next to him were Doug and Kevin, her brothers. Both of them looked at me with expressions I had never seen before. Cold, hard, angry. I opened my mouth to ask what was going on, but before I could speak, Diane shot to her feet. Her voice came out in a scream that made me flinch. "You are cheating on me. You are cheating on me with that woman." My brain could not process what I was hearing. Cheating. What was she talking about, Diane? What are you? Do not lie to me. She stormed toward me and shoved her phone in my face. I saw the messages. I saw everything. I looked at the screen. It was my Facebook Messenger. My conversation with Jenna. I saw work messages, discussions about the project. Nothing inappropriate, nothing romantic. Just normal, everyday professional communication. "Diane, those are work messages. That is Jenna, my colleague." She would nod, say she understood, but then bring it up again the next day and the next. The tension in our house grew thick. I felt like I was walking on eggshells. I tried to spend more time with Diane on weekends, but the project still demanded attention. I had to answer emails, I had to review code, I had to make sure we stayed on track. I thought things would get better once the project was done. I thought Diane just needed me to be more present. I thought we would be fine. "Frank, please, this is a misunderstanding. If you just let me explain." Explain what? Doug's voice was low and dangerous. Explain how you have been sneaking around with some other woman while my sister waits at home. I have not been sneaking around. I have been working. Call my boss. Call anyone at the company. They will tell you Kevin moved closer. You think we are idiots. You think we are just going to believe whatever lies you come up with. My heart was pounding. I looked at Diane, desperate for her to see reason. Diane, I love you. I have never cheated on you. I would never do that. Please just give me a chance to prove it. Tears streamed down her face. I gave you everything, Maurice, and you threw it away for her. Before I could respond, Doug grabbed my shoulder and shoved me hard against the wall. My head hit the drywall with a dull thud. Pain exploded through my skull. Doug, stop. I tried to push him off, but he was bigger than me, stronger. You do not get to talk, he snarled. Kevin grabbed my shirt collar and pulled me forward, then slammed me back again. You made my sister cry. You humiliated her. Please, I gasped. Just let me call my boss. Let me show you the work emails. Let me prove it. Frank stood there watching. He did not move to stop his sons. He just stared at me with disgust. I spent 30 years dealing with liars like you, Maurice. I know a guilty man when I see one. Doug pulled his fist back and drove it into my stomach. The air rushed out of my lungs. I doubled over, gasping for breath. Stop it, Diane screamed. Do not hurt him anymore. But she did not step in. She did not tell them to let me go. She just stood there crying. Kevin kicked me in the ribs. I felt something crack. The pain was so intense I thought I might pass out. That is enough, Frank said finally. His voice was calm, cold. Get him out of here. Doug and Kevin dragged me toward the door. I tried to stay on my feet, but my legs would not hold me. They threw me onto the front lawn. A duffel bag landed next to me. I recognized it. It was mine. Someone had packed my clothes. If you ever come near my daughter again, Frank said from the doorway, I will make sure you regret it. And do not think about calling the cops. You know who I used to work with. They will believe me over you. The door slammed shut. The lock clicked. I lay there on the cold grass, clutching my ribs, tasting blood in my mouth. Every breath hurt. My mind spun, trying to understand what had just happened. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands and called the only person I could think of, Troy, my friend from college. He lived 20 minutes away. Maurice, it is midnight, man. What is going on? Can I stay with you tonight? My voice cracked. Please. I will explain when I get there. He must have heard the desperation because he did not ask questions. Yeah, of course. Come over. I drove to his apartment in a daze. My ribs screamed with every turn of the wheel. My face was swelling. I could barely see out of my left eye. Troy opened the door and his face went pale. Jesus Christ, Maurice. What happened to you? I collapsed onto his couch and told him everything. He listened in silence, his expression growing darker with every word. When I finished, he shook his head. You need to go to the hospital, and you need to call the police. Frank used to be a cop, I said. He said they would believe him over me. That is insane. You cannot just let this go. But I was too tired, too broken. I just wanted to close my eyes and pretend this was a nightmare. I did not sleep that night. I lay on Troy's couch, staring at the ceiling, replaying the scene over and over, trying to figure out where it all went wrong. The next morning I texted Diane, Please, let us talk. I did not do anything wrong. I can prove it. Her response came an hour later. Do not contact me again. My lawyer will send you the divorce papers. I felt my world collapse. Within 2 days, Diane posted on Facebook. The post was long, detailed. She accused me of having an affair with a coworker. She said I had betrayed her trust, destroyed our marriage, and broken her heart. She tagged mutual friends. She tagged family members. The comments poured in. People I had known for years called me terrible names. Friends I thought would have my back unfriended me without asking for my side of the story. Nobody wanted to hear it. They had already made up their minds. The post reached my workplace. One of my coworkers saw it and showed it to others. Within hours, everyone in the office was whispering about me. My boss called me into his office on Monday morning. Maurice, I need to talk to you about something sensitive. I knew what was coming. There are some rumors going around, he said carefully, about your personal life. They are not true, I said. None of it is true. He sighed. Look, I believe you. But this is affecting the team. People are uncomfortable. The client has heard about it. They are concerned about the project's stability. So what are you saying? I am saying you need to take some time off. Unpaid leave. Until this blows over. You are suspending me. I am giving you space to handle your personal situation. I wanted to argue. I wanted to fight. But I was too tired. Too defeated. I cleared out my desk that afternoon. Jenna caught me in the hallway. Her face was full of concern. Maurice, I heard what happened. I am so sorry. If you need me to talk to anyone to explain that we are just colleagues, it would not matter, I said. Nobody wants to hear the truth. Without a paycheck, I could not afford to keep staying at Troy's place and paying for meals. I did not want to burden him. So I moved into my car. I parked in different places each night, sometimes behind a grocery store, sometimes in a park. I showered at the gym. I ate cheap fast food when I could afford it. Diane's lawyer sent the divorce papers. She was demanding half of everything. She also wanted compensation for emotional distress caused by my alleged infidelity. I met with a lawyer, the cheapest one I could find, a tired-looking man in a cramped office who smelled like coffee and defeat. Do you have any evidence that you did not cheat? He asked. I have my word. He shook his head. That is not going to be enough. You need proof. Emails, text messages, witness statements. Something concrete. How am I supposed to get that? That is up to you. I sat in my car that night staring at my phone. And then it hit me. I did have proof. I had hundreds of work emails. I had calendar invites. I had video footage from the office security cameras. I just needed to get it. The next morning, I drove to my office. I walked past security and straight to HR. The woman at the desk looked surprised to see me. Maurice, I thought you were on leave. I need your help, I said. I need access to my work emails, my calendar, and I need the security footage from the past 6 months. She frowned. Why? Because my wife is accusing me of having an affair with a coworker, and I need to prove that I was only doing my job. She hesitated. I do not know if I can. Please, I said. My life is falling apart. If you do not help me, I am going to lose everything. She looked at me for a long moment. Then she sighed. Let me talk to my supervisor. It took 2 days, but HR finally agreed. They gave me access to my email archive. They pulled my calendar records. They even provided footage from the office cameras showing me and Jenna in meetings, always with other people present. I also reached out to Jenna. I explained the situation and asked if she would be willing to write a formal statement, confirming that our relationship was strictly professional. She did not hesitate. Of course, I will do whatever you need. Within a week, I had everything. Over 200 emails between Jenna and me, all discussing project details. 15 video clips from security cameras showing team meetings, never once showing us alone together. 8 written statements from coworkers confirming that Jenna and I had a normal professional working relationship. I sent it all to my lawyer. He reviewed the evidence and smiled for the first time since I met him. This is good, he said. This is really good. We need to set up a meeting with her lawyer. Show them what we have. I contacted Diane's lawyer and requested a mediation session. At first, Diane refused, but her lawyer convinced her to at least listen. The meeting was held at the lawyer's office. Diane sat on one side of the table with her attorney. I sat on the other side with mine. Frank, Doug, and Kevin were there too, standing behind Diane like bodyguards. My lawyer set up a laptop and projector. He started with the emails. Line by line, he showed them. Project updates, design reviews, bug reports, scheduling conflicts. Nothing personal, nothing romantic. Then he played the security footage, meeting after meeting, always in conference rooms, always with other people present. Jenna and I barely even looked at each other outside of work discussions. Then he read the statements from our coworkers. Every single one of them confirmed the same thing: Maurice and Jenna were professionals. Nothing inappropriate ever happened. Finally, he showed the official records from the company. My hours logged, my calendar appointments. Every single late night I had worked was documented. Every single weekend I had come in was recorded. By the time he finished, the room was silent. Diane's face was pale. Her hands trembled. Frank stared at the table. Doug and Kevin would not look at me. I leaned forward and spoke directly to Diane. My voice was calm, but every word carried the weight of 6 months of pain. I loved you, Diane. I gave you everything I had. And you did not even ask me for the truth before you decided I was guilty. You and your family beat me. You threw me out of my own home. You destroyed my reputation. You cost me my job. And for what? Because you saw a work message and jumped to conclusions. Tears ran down her face, but she said nothing. I spent nights sleeping in my car, I continued. I ate 1 meal a day because I could not afford more. I lost friends. I lost my dignity. All because you did not trust me enough to ask a single question. Frank cleared his throat. Maurice, you, what I turned to him. You treated me like a criminal. You let your sons beat me. You threatened me. You used your position as a former cop to scare me into silence. And you did not care about the truth. You just wanted someone to punish. Nobody responded. I stood up. I am done here. My lawyer has all the evidence he needs. We will proceed with the divorce. And I expect a public apology from all of you. You owe me that much. I walked out. A week later, Diane called me. I almost did not answer, but something made me pick up. Maurice. Her voice was small, broken. I am so sorry. I did not say anything. I know I do not deserve your forgiveness, she continued. But I need you to know that I was wrong. I was so wrong. I let my jealousy and insecurity destroy everything. I should have trusted you. I should have asked you. You should have believed me, I said quietly. I know. She was crying now. I know. And I cannot take it back. But please, Maurice, can we try again? Can we start over? I closed my eyes. Part of me wanted to say yes. Part of me still loved her. But the bigger part, the part that had been broken and rebuilt over the past 6 months, knew the answer. No, Diane. We cannot. Please. Do you know what hurts the most? I asked. It is not that you did not believe me. It is that you did not even give me a chance. You went from suspicion to conviction without a trial. You brought your family to attack me, instead of sitting down and talking to me like your husband. You destroyed my life because you were scared, and when people are scared, they do terrible things. I will do anything. There is nothing left to do, I said. Some things once broken cannot be fixed. This is one of them, she sobbed. What about us? What about everything we had? We had trust, Diane. And you threw it away. I cannot build a life with someone who does not trust me. The call ended. I never spoke to her again. As part of the divorce settlement, I insisted that Diane and her family post public apologies on social media, retracting the accusations and admitting they were wrong. They agreed. The posts went up. Some people saw them, some people apologized to me, but most just moved on. That is how it works. People love drama, but they lose interest in the aftermath. My company reinstated me. They even promoted me to senior project manager with a significant raise. Apparently, the client had been impressed with my work despite all the chaos, and they wanted me to lead future projects. It felt good, but it did not erase what had happened. I found a new apartment. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. I started rebuilding my life piece by piece. I joined a support group for people who had been falsely accused of things. Hearing their stories helped me realize I was not alone. I learned to trust again slowly. I made new friends. I focused on my work. I rediscovered hobbies I had abandoned during my marriage. 2 years later, I met someone. Her name was Amy. She was a high school teacher, kind and patient with a laugh that made everything feel lighter. We started dating. This time I knew what I deserved. I knew what a healthy relationship looked like, and I refused to settle for anything less. I do not hate Diane anymore. Hate takes too much energy, and I need that energy for better things. But I do not forgive her either. Forgiveness is not something you owe to people who hurt you. It is something you give when you are ready, if you are ever ready. What I learned from all of this is simple. Trust is not automatic. It is earned. And in a relationship, communication is everything. When you love someone, you ask questions before making accusations. You listen before you judge. You fight together, not against each other. If someone truly loves you, they will give you the benefit of the doubt. They will hear your side of the story. They will stand by you when things get hard, not throw you to the wolves. And if they cannot do that, then maybe they are not the right person for you. I do not know where Diane is now. I do not ask. I heard through mutual acquaintances that she regrets what happened, that she tells people she made the biggest mistake of her life. Maybe she did. Maybe she learned something from it. I hope so for her sake. As for me, I am okay. Better than okay, actually. I have a good job, a woman who loves and respects me, a life that feels like mine again. It took a long time to get here, but I made it, and that is enough. So let me leave you with this. Have you ever been falsely accused of something? Have you ever had your trust broken by someone you loved? Drop a comment below and tell me your story. And if this resonated with you, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. You never know who might be going through something similar and needs to know they are not alone. Thank you for listening. I hope you find peace in whatever battle you are fighting. Take care of yourselves.